Hello, and welcome to Creepy Chillz. I'm your midnight guide, here to lead you through another shadowed tale beneath the veil of night. Before we begin tonight's rainy sleep story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and tap the like button. It helps more sleepy wanderers find their way to our little corner of the dark. Let me know in the comments, where are you listening from, and what time is it there? I love seeing the midnight map of listeners from around the world. Now, settle in. Let the sound of the rain ease your thoughts. Let your breath slow. You're safe. You're not alone. You're with us now. It was just past midnight. They are always there, even when you believe you are alone. The wind had been soft that morning, barely caressing the worn shutters of Alara's cottage. It was the sort of morning that made the air feel like velvet, soft, still, and full of dreams not yet stirred loose. Her little house perched on the outskirts of a slumbering village where nothing much ever did happen. Days blended into each other like hot candle wax. But today, something did occur. And it started with a noise as small as a knock. 3 knocks. That was all. Not hurried. Not anxious, just soft. Alara pulled her cardigan tighter around her shoulders and stepped barefoot onto the wooden floor, its boards creaking ever so slightly under her weight. Her eyes were still clouded with the residue of sleep, but her heart had begun to stir in a way she couldn't explain. She opened the front door. No one was there. Only the quiet rustle of leaves and the soft, pale glow of dawn spreading over the garden path. But at her feet was a package, plain, square, and unmarked. No return address. No postage stamps. Just her name, scribbled in the faded, curling ink, Alara Wynne. She stopped. The wind lifted the hem of her robe and played with her curls. A bird cooed a lazy morning song somewhere. Yet the air seemed different, as if someone had exhaled a secret into it and then disappeared. She lifted the box. It weighed more than it appeared to. Within the cottage, she set it on the kitchen table, its surface still cluttered with yesterday's teacups and a half-read book. Her hands hesitated over the string wrapped tightly around the box. And though she didn't know why, her breath caught in her throat like something old and well-known had stretched out toward her across time. She loosened the string, lifted the lid. Within was a music box, and nothing else. It was cut from rich mahogany, its edges worn smooth by time. Small brass hinges, a winding key at the back. Her hand shook as she picked it out of the box, for she knew it. She knew this music box. She had not seen it since she was a child, in a house that had long since fallen into dust and memory. It had belonged to her mother. Alara sat down slowly, the legs of the chair creaking against the floor, as if the house itself knew the gravity of what had come back. She turned the key. The mechanism clicked quietly. Then, music burst into the silence, delicate, haunting, like moonlight in sound. Notes floated through the air like petals on a river, and with each one, a door within her mind creaked open. Memories slipped in. She saw her mother's face once more. Not that of a ghost, but of someone alive, warm, laughing by the fire. She saw the golden fields behind their childhood house, running through tall grass with her little brother, wind passing in and out of her ears. But those memories didn't arrive alone. They brought others. Dark ones. Whispers in the hallway at night. Shadows that didn't shift when they should have. A sudden knock on the glass that visited annually on the same evening in October, the night that her mother vanished. Alara shivered. She hadn't thought of that evening in more than 2 decades. Not since the police told her they'd found nothing. No break-in. No footprints. Just an empty bedroom, and the music box open and playing. She recalled that now. It had been the last noise in the house before the silence fell in for good. Why had it returned to her now? She cut off the music. Outside, the wind moaned through the trees once more, slow and languid like a slow exhalation. One branch tapped softly against the windowpane. She gazed at the box, heart pounding softly like a faraway drum, and found herself noticing something strange. The inside lid of the box bore words carved into it. Recently, it appeared. She leaned forward, eyes narrowing. Find what was hidden. What you forgot. The letters were small but intentional. Ilara's chest constricted. This was some sort of joke. Or error. But then, in the silence that followed, something woke up deep within her. Like a dream she was supposed to recall, a dream that hovered just outside of waking. She felt drawn, quietly but inexorably, by something intangible. She searched the cottage the remainder of the morning. Closets. Cabinets. The attic, where dust clung in heavy, languid clouds. She ran her fingers over everything as if it might suddenly speak to her in hushed tones. And then, under the loose floorboard in her bedroom, one she hadn't walked on since she was 16, she discovered it. A yellowed photograph. It was worn, tattered at the edges, and warped with age. In it, her mother stood before a high hedge maze, one Ilara didn't recognize, holding something in her hands. A letter. But the photograph contained something else, a small round spot in the corner. Not of the image. A wax seal, one that matched the design etched into the base of the music box. A crescent moon with stars around it. And suddenly, she recalled the stories. Her mother would talk in riddles, gentle ones, before bed. Of lost things that went along on the wind. Of parcels that came when you were ready to confront what you'd hidden. Of the in-between, where lost things lingered to be discovered. Ilara held the photograph against her heart and shut her eyes. The music started to play once more. She had not laid a hand on the box. The noise floated up from the kitchen like a dream of sound. She entered the room. The music box lay open, whirling softly. And behind it, the air rippled. Just a little. Like heat off pavement, but softer. Slower. Almost like it was breathing. Ilara moved closer. The ripple increased. And then, the world tilted. It wasn't falling. Not really. It was like sleep, deep, weightless sleep. She blinked, and the room disappeared. The kitchen. The table. The windows. All dissolved into a silver mist that curled around her like fog made of memory. Before her, a hallway went on forever. Ivy-covered walls. Candlelight dancing along the edges. And there, at the far end, the hedge maze from the photograph. She walked. Every step was gentle, muted, as if walking through a dream. The air was filled with the smell of jasmine. She turned corners that hadn't been there a moment before. The maze seemed to hum with a still energy, propelling her forward. In the center, she discovered a bench under a willow tree, and on it, a figure. Her mother. Younger than Ilara recalled. Eyes shining. Hands folded neatly in her lap. "Ilara," she said, her voice as gentle as the wind, "you found me." Tears pricked at Ilara's eyes. "I thought I lost you." "You did. But only for a little while." She leaned forward, touching Ilara's cheek with a warm, ghost-soft hand. "Sometimes," her mother whispered, "we must forget to continue. But when the heart is ready, what was lost comes back." They sat in silence. No need for more words. And in the silence, Ilara felt all of it start to settle. the sorrow, the confusion, the burden of years spent with questions. All of it dissolved into the quiet of that eternal space. When she opened them again, she was home in her kitchen. The music box had ceased, but the room felt lighter then, as if something burdensome had been released at last. Elara smiled through her tears. She didn't have to know why or how. Some secrets weren't for discovering. Some were to be held in gentle hands, such as the sound of a lullaby, cradled softly through the still hours of darkness. And so that night, as evening poured over her windows and the stars winked open in the sky, Elara wrapped herself in her blankets. The music box rested on her bedside table, silent but observant. She let herself sleep. And for the first time in years, she floated into sleep without fear. For she now knew that whatever was lost could always be found again, even in dreams. Even when you're all alone in your quiet little house, with the curtains drawn and the doors locked tight, sometimes something watches back. It had been a rainy night, the type that dragged clouds low and seemed to sink the world underwater. The continuous knocking of rain against the windows had almost a hypnotic quality, fingers drumming to the rhythm of a lullaby. In a snug little cottage hidden behind whispering trees, Nora lay alone in bed, holding a soothing cup of chamomile tea, her breathing slow, her thoughts balancing on the edge of slumber. Her nights had been long of late. Work meetings, missed messages, and that persistent thrum of restlessness that clung to her wherever she went. But tonight was for silence. The lights were low, a soft throw blanket around her legs, and the only noise was the soft hiss of rain and the occasional purr of her cat Willow, nestled at the foot of the bed. Then, her phone rang. A jolt of vibration first, then the piercing, abrupt chime slicing through the stillness like a thread breaking in the black. Nora scowled. The phone came to life on the nightstand beside her. Incoming call, Nora, you. She blinked. No number. No mystery contact. Just her own name, calling her. From her own phone. She gazed at it, heartbeat slowing to something weightier. Maybe it was a glitch. Technology had that effect, didn't it?